to Nostalgia Alley. We have a blockbuster show for you tonight. And as you can see, the topic is hats. And we have some phenomenal hats. Lisa Battaglia, big-time hat designer here in New Jersey, has an exclusive line of some of the best hats I've seen in many, 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 many years. And also David Heffernan, who is Maplewood's premier antique dealer. So we have a blockbuster show, double feature tonight for you. Lisa, welcome to Nostalgia Alley.
Thank you.
I have to ask you, from airline stewardess to hat designer, how did that happen?
Well, I've always wanted to be a milliner. I don't know, I also always wanted to travel the world. So basically I joined World Airways and traveled the world and got a lot of my inspiration through international travel. It was great. I've been to a lot of different places, and through that experience, it shaped and molded me as a milliner, basically. And I've just, you know, I had that experience, and it brought me on to doing my love of fashion, which is hats.
How do you do that? All of a sudden you're doing hats. How do you physically do that?
I always wanted to do millinery, and I was always inspired by the 1920s, 30s, and 40s.
God bless you. That's why you're on the show.
First of all, I didn't know how I was going to do that. I liked clothing from that era. My father was a big inspiration to me. He used to take me to antique stores. Through that, I gained a lot of exposure and an experience to just different forms of art. And then when I knew that that was the era that was calling me, I knew millinery was big in that era. So I went to the only school in the United States that offered that program, which was the Fashion Institute of Technology. And that's where I got my degree.
So literally what's old is new again as far as fashion. The 20s look is coming back. We have hope here.
Definitely.
Oh,
yes.
Great. Going to different countries, how did that influence you in styling your hats?
I think just going to different countries and seeing their culture, just like with the costumes and just the way the people dressed. I've been to Paris. They tend to wear old vintage clothing and then take it and transform it into make it new again, and that's really inspiring. And I saw that era coming back here in the United States, people dressing that way. I've always, you know, that was just the real, I don't know, I've just seen it. It's like something that's innate that I've seen, and I could transform it here.
You have the passion. I see that in your eyes. You
Yeah.
have the passion for what you do. We are very, very fortunate to have two of the hottest models in New Jersey. We have the lovely Lorraine and the lovely Kathleen. And, you know, let's take a look. Let's start off with Lorraine, and you can kind of explain
Sure.
what's going on.
Well, these styles here, this is from the 2011 winter 2011 collection, and this is actually the Buttercup, and I've restyled it from last year. That's a purple velour with the black grosgrain ribbon.
How'd you come up with the name Buttercup?
I don't know, they just kind of come
Come to
me.
you.
Yeah.
And let's see some more. Kathleen, I think, is going to...
This is the swanky bowler,
I
and
like it.
the bowler's big time back into fashion. Typically they're wearing them back on their heads, but I just wanted to make it a little bit more feminine, and so she's wearing it more towards the front of her head.
The bowler look, I like that. And now we have another one from Lorraine. You'll explain what
Sure.
we're looking at?
This is the other Buttercup, but this is actually for spring, summer 2011. This is actually, this is the retro hat, and it's in a burnt orange color with a leather braided cord around it. This was very popular. Actually, this one was in Marie Claire magazine.
Don't we have terrific models here? I mean, God, this is unbelievable. What do you like best about designing hats? What pushes your button?
It's the free-form technique. Basically, what you're seeing right now is a hat that's, you just saw, was a free-form cowboy hat. And basically, I'm taking and I'm creasing and folding it on the block. The block is the shape of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually creasing and making folds in the hat, and I'm pinning those folds into place. So it's a very unusual technique. It's very labor intense. It's not a lot of milliners do this type of technique. It's really, it's an art form, and that's what I love about it, because no two hat is alike. They're all very different. They're one-offs.
Do you have a favorite hat of yours? What do you wear on your off hours as a hat designer?
I would say, you know, it depends on my mood. This particular one
Let's see this
is
on you.
really nice.
Oh, I like this.
This is spring, summer, and it's, you know, for the beach.
Kind of a casual.
Yeah, very casual, but like I said, I do the creases and folds in it. Like everything's pinned in place and it's stiffened, and you know, it's all done by hand. It's not like you can actually stamp these hats out like a manufacturer.
No, it looks casual, but probably hours and hours of folding and creasing, just the right place to crease, the right place to fold, which I
Right.
imagine is the art form
Right.
in that hat.
And I mean, you can dress these up or dress them down, and that's the cool thing about it. I mean, you can go to a picnic or a party with this hat or wear it to the beach, and that's the cool thing about them.
Well, let's see some more of great hats and great models. I think Lorraine is coming out now.
Okay. Lorraine is actually wearing a hat from last year's collection, and this one actually is it's kind of a bicycle cap with the racing stripe on it.
You say last year's creation versus, how do you tell the difference between last year and this year? How does that work?
A lot of the hats are actually, what do I say? I've been told that I'm before my time. So a lot of these hats are like, you know, they go from one season to the next because I've been ahead of my time with my creations. So I take one season and I will do it into another season. Like this particular one too. That was
Yeah,
the
put
same,
that on. I'll take a look at
same
that. I'll say,
hat.
great hat there. Look at that. Now, what season, would this be a fall season, being the darker colors?
Well, it goes
Like,
from
is that
late
right, or-
summer to fall.
Okay.
Yeah, you could wear this for late summer to fall.
That's terrific. And I think I have another model. Kathleen, tell us about what Kathleen is wearing.
Kathleen's wearing one of the hats from this spring, summer. And that one actually was the Dapper hat. And it just was a different shape that I haven't done before. So.
Now, in each season that you represent, how many hats do you make that represent a season?
It could be anything from 20 silhouettes. It really depends. Like this year I'm doing 4 trunk shows. I've got 30 hats to make for one particular trunk show in the Hamptons. And it really, you know, I kind of let my imagination go. But really you want to sell your hats, so I try to make them so that people will understand them and, you know, purchase them ultimately. But it could be like, you know, cloche to one of these free-form cowboy hats to, you know, a fedora.
What's the secret of being a good designer?
I think you have to be really creative, but yet also be able to interpret that so that your customer will buy your product.
Now, we see these wonderful hats, and they are just, I've never seen anything like wonderful, wonderful hats. Where can one get these hats in the area? Where do you exhibit your hats? How can somebody purchase a hat from you?
Here in Maplewood, New Jersey, Revolution is carrying my line. I also have hats in Sadie and Westfield, New Jersey. I've also done very well in Saratoga for the racing season. Saratoga Trunk carries my hats. Last fall, and hopefully again this fall, Lord and Taylor carried
Lord
some
and
of the
Taylor.
styles.
Now, I know our ladies are going to want to know this, and I don't want to pin you down with a particular price. What's the range of prices on the hats?
They can go really from like $85 on up. I mean, you can spend $500 on a derby hat. This is for Kentucky Derby. It really depends.
Wow. Do we have any more hats left? Kathleen or Lorraine, do we have any more to show? Okay, you can.
This was Tea Rose. This is a new one. This is a freeform cowboy style. Typically, this hat goes for $150. That's average price point.
Average price, about $150, which is reasonable for a hat today. You know, I think that's terrific. Great. Do we have any more hats left for our models? Yes, I think we have the lovely Kathleen is modeling something. Tell us about this. This is terrific.
This is the freeform cowboy, and I did this in this dark plum color, and this year I did it with the chain styling, which I thought was very retro, something new that hasn't been done. I was doing it with braided cord, and I decided to venture out with the chain styling.
They're called cowboy style.
Freeform cowboy. It's actually fly girl. I'm sorry, but it's a freeform cowboy. That's the actual technique. It's the freeform.
Is a saddle extra in the cowboy hats? Is that included? Well, that's terrific. Do we have any more hats for our models here, or do we? Okay,
Yes.
good. Yeah. And you know what? Just spend a little more time here on the floor so they can really take a great look at. This is a terrific hat. Wow.
Well, this
Look
goes
at
to
that.
show you like all the creases and folds that I do. Like that actually, I pin that in place. I'm
That's
pinning each fold and each crease in place. And that one's the Sun Goddess hat, and that's really for wearing on the beach or a beach party. It's very, you know, it's a show hat.
What's the biggest challenge for you as a hat designer?
Keeping up with just the creative, trying to see what's, you know, I kind of go with my feeling, like what's going to happen next. I really keep abreast of what's going on in society and fashion. I'm just very, I read, I look through magazines, I study people on the streets. I'm kind of a, I would say I'm a little psychic, like with what the trends are, and because of that, I can market them well because I can see what's going on. Like with the recession happening, people weren't spending money on clothing, so I thought, okay, accessories is going to be it.
Mhm.
Like, you know, you might spend a little money for an accessory like a hat to kind of liven up your wardrobe. So,
Well, hats do liven up our wardrobe. I mean, you know, you look at hair and then you look at hats, and so you can actually take somebody off the street, look at them physically, and say that's the kind of hat they should have. Which is a great help to your clients, because I guess women come in and they just don't know what kind of hat looks good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And your feedback is tremendous.
Well, they also, a lot of women don't think they can wear hats, so it's really fun to kind of try the different styles on them because they're asymmetrical, they're not symmetrical. Then I tell them they can wear them different ways on their head, and then I show them, and then they feel more confident about it.
Wow. Do we have any more hats for our models, or are we out of hats? We gave them about 6 hats. I think we're out of hats.
Okay.
But why don't you pick a hat, and let's see it on you, because we have about a couple of more minutes, I think.
Okay.
Pick your second favorite hat.
I'm just trying to think.
Eeny, meeny, miny,
Yeah,
moe.
right.
Oh, here we go.
This is a very...
Big hats. Big hats seem to be the
Yeah.
in thing now. The big, big hats.
Well, it's sun protection. A lot of women want, you know, the sun protection, and it's something stylish to wear in the sun, and, you know, it's an accessory that, you know, you can wear and feel comfortable that you're not getting, you know, sunburn. You're being protected by the sun, but fashionable.
This is a dermatologist's favorite hat because it keeps you out of the sun. Great. Well, I think we're going to about end the segment. Lisa, I want to thank you so much. It's Lisa Battaglia. And we're going to put on your email where they can get in contact with you.
Sure.
And just give us a rundown. We can see your hats again.
I sell them on my website at lisabattaglia, BATTAGLIA.com. And also, they're being sold at Fred Siegel right now. I'm going to be doing a trunk show out in the Hamptons at Catherine Malandrino on June 18th. I also here in Maplewood, April 30th, we'll be doing a trunk show in the Maplewood Alliance in the town of Maplewood.
You're a jet setter.
Yeah, we have a lot of things
You're a jet
going on.
setter.
We have a lot of things going on, so it'll be good.
Great. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. And, you know, get these hats. They're terrific. And we are going to take a break right now. Back with David Heffernan, who is one of our favorite antique dealers here in the Maplewood area. So a little public service announcement, and don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Nostalgia Alley, our second segment. We have a double-packed show for you. David Heffernan, I said Hefferman, it's Heffernan, didn't have my reading glasses on, who has a great antique show revelation in Maplewood, New Jersey. David, I got to ask you a question. You know, with the stock market going up and down and people almost jumping out of windows and banks fluctuating, the economy, antiques, is that a good investment for people?
Well, there are some things you can still make money on with the antiques. A lot of the lower level things are not doing very well, but the high end names, you know, Tiffany and big names like that, you can still do very well investing in things like that. Silver and gold, it's always good. But some of the furniture that you might have seen was popular years ago, like oak furniture, that stuff is all way off, and I wouldn't invest in things like that. If you needed to decorate with, that's where I'm headed, is the decorating aspect.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta, you know, it's a whole new David. I know you came in on a motorcycle. I mean, I saw you with the leather jacket, the whole deal. Let's take a look at that motorcycle. That is fantastic. Tell us, how many miles per gallon is that?
Oh, that's about 100 miles to a gallon. And,
Right.
It's actually a sculpture.
It's a sculpture of a motorcycle.
Yes, this was made in the 70s. And,
Okay.
I just got it this week at a house where I went on a house call, and they had fabulous oddball things. There were no really high-end antiques, but they had curiosities like this that I love.
That's incredible.
So this is all made out of tools and car parts and odometers, and it just made it look like a little chopper.
Wow.
So it's a fabulous piece.
Now, as a work of art, to come into your store, how much would that go for about?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe $275.
That's all for a work of
something like
art.
that, yeah.
It's a bargain.
Yeah. She had 3 of them, but we can't find the other 2.
And if they mention Nostalgia Alley, it's 300, right?
Yes.
Okay. You brought some great covers, album covers, which really represent an era. Let's take a look at what you got, because I know that's one of your things, albums, old albums
We
and
are
records.
selling old records. We call it vintage vinyl, and we're doing quite well with that. And so now I am collecting, and I just love the covers. I don't even care about the music. And this cover caught me yesterday.
The Jackie Gleason Show. Tell us about this guy.
This is Frank Fontaine, and he was Crazy Guggenheim on the Jackie Gleason Show. And he'd come on and do these comedy bits with this crazy face, but then he had an incredible singing voice.
I remember that.
He would always do a ballad that would like make everybody cry.
Cry. I remember he came in. It's just, we're going to be thrown out of the studio, but he came in. Hiya, Joe. Hiya, Mr. Donahue. He had that wonderful laugh, right?
That's him.
Is everybody still here in the audience? Okay. Well, the Partridge family.
Yep. This is I put this out in front of the store the other day, and I had about 10 people grab this one and look at it. I had one woman say she used to sleep with this album cover because of David Cassidy. Where is he? Over here. So that's a great eye catcher.
Where
Great
are they
design.
now?
Well, wasn't he just on
Was he?
the Apprentice, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think that's what I heard. And then I have great old jazz pieces. This is Stan Getz and J.J. Johnson.
One of the greats in jazz.
And again, I love the graphics. This is just beautiful stuff from the late 50s, early 60s. And it's good for several reasons. The music, the cover, it's rare. It's a nice piece.
You know what? You have CDs now. You don't have, they're
Yeah.
not big enough for a cover. It is a loss in that art.
Right. There
Way
was just
back.
an article in the New York Times about the lost art of covers and vinyl like this, where you would go to the store and buy an album. You didn't even know what you were getting. You heard one song,
Exactly. Yeah.
and you'd buy it for that one song, and you didn't know what the other 12
I know.
cuts
All songs
were.
were terrible other than that one
Yeah,
song.
but you'd buy it for the cover a lot.
Tito
This-
Puente.
Yes.
Look at that. Look at that. The Mills Brothers of the
Brothers.
Lazy River. They
So,
all passed away, unfortunately, but they lived a long, good life.
So again, I'm interested in the. Here's the graphics from the 70s. I love this.
Oh, look at that with all the mod colors
Yeah.
and the paisley that was very.
And
Everything was paisley
And the
back in the
Nehru
70s.
jacket and chains and stuff.
Yes, oh my God, the Nehru jacket. Oh,
Do you have one of those?
I had one of those.
I never wore one.
God knows where it is.
Again, the graphics on this is
Oh, that's
incredible.
incredible
I don't have the
graphics.
record, but I bought it just to get the cover. I love this cover.
You could frame those. Those are
Yeah.
actually works of art, frameable.
Yep. very powerful cover. And again, the graphics here, psychedelic.
It's like a
stuff.
Laugh-In kind of
Yeah.
graphics that they had in the old
Yeah.
Laugh-In shows.
So
Terrific.
I'm attracted to these. And the reason I'm attracted to it is I used to do album covers.
Well, we're going to come to the last album, which is a special album that I
Yes.
want to talk about.
This one.
But let's
Is
come
this
to,
one?
let's just go to the gold here. Let's
You
see
wanna
your
see?
album.
Okay, this is
Now, tell us about that. That is a very Spyro Gyro.
This is a cover I did in 1979, and it was a Grammy nomination for the best album cover art. I didn't win the Grammy, but I got nominated. I went to the
Terrific.
the Radio City Music Hall for the dinner. It was fabulous. And I still get fan letters occasionally from this letter. People seem to think they see things in here that I didn't plan on.
Well, I think that's very true.
Yeah, they see. I've been told they're seeing words and they're getting messages from this, and that I just paint it.
How did you get into doing that? Because we know David the antique dealer, but we don't know David the graphic artist.
Well, before the antiques, this was what I was doing. I was a graphic artist, and I started right out in the album covers. Went right from college right into
To
design.
the album covers.
Yes. A friend of mine and I went to school together. He was the designer, and I was the artist. He would come up with the concept, and then I would do the painting.
Terrific.
So we worked together for about 10 years.
And also, you know, David is a wonderful artist. If you go to a Revolution, his antique store, he has some of his works of art that are some of the greatest looking girls I've seen in a long time. Paintings are just, you know, you have great taste in the ladies
Yes,
there, David.
The models, you know, I brought Lorraine
I know.
and Katie tonight. So they both are going to be painted one of
Wow.
these days.
I got to ask you, what is hot in antiques right now? What are people going for?
Well, I just spoke with a friend of mine who is studying in New York City to get her appraisal license, and they were discussing that the hot turnaround right now is Chinese antiques. And this is something I don't know very much about. Because there's a lot of forgeries, and they still make things in China that look just as they look like they're from the 5th century. You know,
Oh,
which
I
is
know,
incredible.
I know.
So, for instance, they just had an auction recently in New York City where something was put up and it had a $200 to $400 price range, and it went for almost $2 million. So that's what it is the Chinese people are buying back their culture. A lot of the stuff was taken out of the country, so they're getting it back. But why that one particular piece brought so much money, the guy who originally appraised it said, I could see maybe 20,000, but almost 2 million was, nobody can explain what happened there.
No, if people go to your shop
Yeah.
to look at antiques, is everything under 2 million in your shop?
Yes, we have
We have a few
Yes.
things under 2 million? Okay,
We do
well,
have a
that's
few.
good to know. You know, a word that's used very loosely today, and everybody uses it, is the word antique.
Mhm.
Someone can have something that's 10 years old and they call it antique.
Yeah.
What is an antique?
Well, I've been asked that a lot. I think some people put a time frame on it, like 100 years, something like that. But I have antiques from the 70s, from the 80s. And I think it's just what becomes trendy or collectible. Like the albums, these things are beginning to bring some decent money. And a lot of collectibles from that time period, you know, they're not really antique, but people really want them. I have lunch boxes with beautiful graphics on them, that type of thing.
What antiques do you personally like? What's your favorite type of antique? Just as a person, not as an antique dealer, but as a, you know, kind of a guy who loves antiques.
I love early American furniture, but that is also way down.
Is it really?
This is something that at the bottom has fallen out of the American furniture.
What is it that you love about American
I like the
furniture?
craftsmanship, the handmade tables and the dovetailing on drawers, and it's just beautifully made.
But what's the timeline on something like that? How old?
Well, I
that
would
be?
like something from the 1780s, 1740s to 1780s.
It's a true testimonial to the workmanship that it
Yes.
lasts that
Yeah,
long.
they're still in use. I looked at a table today that was about 1820. It was like new, just
Wow.
beautiful. But the value has dropped quite a bit.
Why is that the value? What do you think causes that?
I don't know what's going on.
You know, things
right
that are
now.
hot a year ago aren't hot and something else is, and
Yeah.
it's just hard to figure out the trend of how things
A
fall.
lot of people catch on to the trend too late. The American furniture was hot for a while. Stickley furniture was hot.
Yes.
Barbara Streisand made that very popular. She bought a lot of stuff, and it was in the news all the time. And now that also is soft.
Yeah. Now I got to ask you, you have a new venture cooking at
Yes.
Revolution. Tell us
Yes.
about the new venture.
Well, we're going to have a cafe at Revolution, and you'll be able to come and try coffee from all over the world.
All over the world?
Yeah, beans from everywhere, and coffee, tea, and cocoa. So we want people to come in and sit down. They can listen to the music. We'll have record players. You can listen to these things, and you can stay and eat and hang out, I hope.
You can have coffee. You can travel around the world
Yes.
right here in Maplewood.
Exactly.
And while you're traveling around the world, you can look at all the wonderful antiques in your store.
That's what we
That's a
want.
terrific
And we want to
idea.
have entertainment too. We'll have some music and poetry and readings, things like that.
You're going to have old-time movie time maybe,
I
too.
think we're going to run some old movies. We may just have that running all the time as a visual, just stimulus.
You're going to run some old episodes of this show?
Yes. Yes.
Well, David, it's always a pleasure. And tell us a little bit about your shop, the location on Baker.
It's 97 Baker Street in Maplewood, and it's open Tuesday to Saturday, 11 to 6.
And I understand you're doing something special for our Nostalgia Alley viewers. Free appraisals. If somebody
Free
brings it
appraisals,
in,
yes.
you'll appraise it for nothing.
That's right.
Great.
Yep.
Terrific. See if you're a listener of Nostalgia Alley, all the benefits you get here. David, always a pleasure to see you and talk with you. And this is Mike Sobel saying thanks for tuning in. And I just want to say good night to you, and especially to you.